Congress has recently held a hearing on the reality that unborn children feel pain. We're going to talk about that on Faith and Freedom today. I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action. Joining me again in studio is Harry Mihet, Senior Litigation Counsel with Liberty Counsel. Well, our friends over at Life News report that the Subcommittee on the Constitution of the U.S. House Judiciary Committee recently held a hearing on legislation that would ban abortions in the District of Columbia after 20 weeks fetal gestation, based on the ability of the fetus to experience pain at that point and beyond. The legislation is called the District of Columbia Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act, H.R. 3803. It's based on medical and scientific findings that the unborn child at least 20 weeks and beyond is capable of feeling pain and may even be more sensitive to pain at that point than newborns are. And testifying, Harry, before this congressional committee was Colleen Malloy, M.D., an assistant professor in Division of Neonatology at the Department of Pediatrics at the Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine. She said this, Harry: there is ample biological, physiological, hormonal, and behavioral evidence for fetal and neonatal pain. And in fact, by 20 weeks, she said, post-fertilization, 22 weeks by LMP, the fetal brain has the full complement of neurons that are present in adulthood. So this is a humanitarian hearing that they have. This certainly is a humanitarian bill, and I think it needs to be passed. I hope it is passed. It's an incrementalist step, certainly, but I think it's a step in the right direction.
That's right, Matt. You know, this bill does nothing more than to affirm what the overwhelming science and really common sense tells us, and that is that a fetus at 20 weeks of gestation is a human being. And we know it's a human being because science tells us that they have a heartbeat, that they have brain activity, and that they can feel pain. The idea that right now in the District of Columbia, a woman can go in and have her child aborted just a week before birth. At 39 weeks, it is legal right now in the District of Columbia for a woman to have her child killed, dismembered limb by limb. It's just barbaric and, has no place in a civilized society. And so what this bill would say is look, at least as of 20 weeks, when we know that a child can feel pain, we're going to outlaw abortions and protect the life of that human being.
And which, of course, begs the question, well, if they can feel it at 20 weeks, can they feel it at 19 weeks? Can they feel it at 18 weeks? What it does is it reminds us that what we're talking about here, we're not talking about a non-viable massive tissue as Planned Parenthood and abortion apologists would have you believe. We are talking about a human being, as you mentioned, with its own heartbeat, with its own brain waves, its own DNA makeup. These are little human beings in a different stage of development who feel pain. And finally, we have Congress doing something. Our friend Congressman Trent Franks of Arizona has introduced the bill. I know a number of congressmen and men and women are getting behind it. There are people that are absolutists that say, well, no, we have to completely outlaw abortion. This is capitulating. This is equivocating. But this is, again, I've always said that both approaches, the incrementalist approach to outlawing abortion can run in tandem with the absolutist approach. Like a personhood amendment is a good example of that. We support both approaches because we want to do anything we can do. If it only saves one child, then it is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. You know, science and common sense tells us that life begins at conception. And if we had our way, we would support legislation that would affirm that principle. But in the absence of that option at this point, having a bill that affirms that a 20-week-old child can feel pain and ought not be aborted is a lot better than allowing the status quo, which is the slaughter of innocent human beings up to the moment before birth. That is barbaric. It's interesting that in so many jurisdictions in this country, perhaps even in the District of Columbia, if a killer hurts a pregnant woman and kills her yet to be born child, he can be tried for murder, for killing a human being. If a doctor is to perform surgery on a yet to be born child, he is going to use anesthesia because he recognizes that child can feel pain. We have all of these principles and laws that recognize the humanity of unborn children, as they should. And yet, in the District of Columbia today, a child can be dismembered limb by limb a week before birth. We can't allow that to happen.
That is a blatant incongruity, isn't it? And there's no way to reconcile that. How do you explain that? How do you explain that, as you point out, if a woman is attacked and the baby dies, if she dies and the baby dies, you're talking about a double homicide here. Yet that very same woman of her own volition can go into a clinic moments before she is actually to go into labor and have that child summarily dismembered. It doesn't make sense. And that's why I've often said that this is the slavery issue of our day. I'm reading right now Bonhoeffer by Eric Metaxas. Talking about Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who fought against Nazi Germany in support of the Jews and worked to try to a pastor to assassinate Adolf Hitler. This is the issue of I was at the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., and I was struck by the parallels between the way that the Jews were dehumanized and summarily executed and the way that the left and so-called pro-choicers dehumanize in order to defend the summary execution of unborn children. The parallels are stark, and those who defend abortion, those today who call themselves pro-choice, are the modern-day Nazis, to use that comparison.
Absolutely. And as you've rightfully pointed out, their logic makes no sense. I mean, think about it. In their worldview, the humanity of the child depends on the intent of the mother. If the mother intends to keep the child and not to abort it, then if somebody else kills that child, it's murder. But if the mother intends to kill the child herself, well, that's just a matter of choice. You basically subject one person's humanity to the whims of the mother, and it just cannot be that way. It doesn't make any sense, and I think that's why young people today and the younger generation today is rejecting this notion in large numbers. And we can be encouraged by the fact that today a larger percentage of Americans are pro-life and are willing to affirm life at all spectrums than ever before in our history, and that perhaps we, with further work and progress, we could be on the brink of seeing this injustice righted.
I think we will. I don't know if it'll be in our lifetime, but this is abortion is a disgrace. It is a enormous blemish on this nation, just like slavery was. Slavery was overturned. Roe v. Wade is the modern-day Dred Scott decision. We will look back in shame that we were a nation that allowed abortion homicide to take place like this and used euphemistic terms like reproductive freedom and pro-choice in order to justify the slaughter of unborn children.
That's right. The number one killer of Americans is not cancer. It's not heart disease. It's not traffic accidents. It's not any of those things, because more and more Americans are killed by abortion, by all of those other things combined. And that just cannot be accepted in a civilized society, Matt.
Well, folks, at Liberty Counsel, we stand in defense of life. That is one of our big three: defending life, defending the family, and defending religious liberty. Go to lc.org. We have a pamphlet, The Truth About Abortion, a PDF you can download and print out. A lot of very, very good, very useful information about abortion, about life, the science, the issues of morality surrounding this very polarizing topic. Go to lc.org or give us a call, 1-800-671-1776. Again, the pamphlet is The Truth About Abortion. Join with Liberty Counsel as we stand in defense of innocent human life. Join with us as we stand in the gap for those who cannot stand for themselves.